Hello, fellow Jmix community members, as well as those who just didn't yet know about Jmix but decided to participate in this webinar with dedicated to the rapid application development and product management. My name is Alex Burov, and I'm responsible for community management of Jmix. And today I'm not alone. I've got my colleagues from Netherlands. I got Edwin and Andre. Hello, dear colleagues.
Pleasure.
Goedendag, lieve colleagues. I've come prepared, as you can see.
Yeah, I hear that.
Yeah. Thank you so much for joining the stream, and thanks for your will to share your experience. So today we'll talk about some success stories. Everybody likes the stories with happy ending, and this is exactly our case. So thank you so much for this participation, and I would pass the word to you. Could you please tell a couple of words about yourself and about the idea that stood behind your solution?
Will you start, Andre?
Yeah. Well, we will see how about the happy ending, but at least we are on the right track, I think. We're still in a startup phase, but we're happy with Jmix at this moment. So I'm Andre and my colleague Edwin. We are owners and partners in Axiomasoft. And Axiomasoft created a CertiKeeper product, and I'm head of this product, and Edwin is our CEO. So that's basically our roles. And I'm a more technical guy, and Edwin is more into finance and sales and marketing, say.
Yeah, well, basically, Andre already mentioned what our roles are within Axiomasoft and CertiKeeper. We started CertiKeeper a while ago based on a request from one of our clients. And basically what we would like to talk to today about is about the going from a project to a product. Because basically what happened was that we developed CertiKeeper specifically for an organization that is in the food business. And we all know that within the food business, food safety is, of course, a very important topic. And with that comes also traceability, a lot of documentation that is involved. And within the supply chain, basically, the exchange of these documents in time, and that's crucial. And what we saw at this particular client is that it was done by Excel initially. So when we did the investigation of the process, we came up with a solution which was first not in Jmix, but we developed it in .NET. But when they had their audits, the auditor, but also the consultant that this organization used, they saw the product and they said, wow, this is something that other clients need as well. And then from that point on, it became obvious that we wanted to, of course, create a product with multi-tenant, etc. And we discovered at that particular point that the .NET version was not a good version. So we started to search for a better option, and ultimately, and Andre can elaborate on that, we came to Jmix.
We'll come back later to the technical point of view, but I would like to sharpen the attention of our audience on this approach. That perfectly fits with my experience when somebody has, expertise in the industry-related things. They decided somehow, wow, I made some projects. Why won't I come back with a product? Because obviously there is some gap that I can fill with this solution. I can make it multi-tenancy, I can earn money, right? So I just become the product owner or the product manager, right? I will earn money in a different way. And could you please tell a couple of words? So why is this compliance with ESG certification especially crucial, and how it is connected to the risk management in the supply chain?
Well, and nowadays, there are tons of rules and regulations. And in this particular case, it is, of course, related then to the food business. But if you compare that to cosmetics, to personal care, to even the car industry, for example, A lot of products need to be certified. They need to come with a product passport, if you can call it that way. But also, if you talk specifically about ESG, the carbon footprint, for example, the bigger organizations need to report that, and they need to get from their supply chain basically the base information to be able to report it. So there's a lot of documentation and communications going on, and of course you want to standardize that, and that's why it's essential. And specifically, for example, if you look at in the food world, there are so many standards, and these standards, they are comparable, but they also have differences. And each of these standards have their own certification, their own grading, their own topics, etc., that are specific. If it comes to logistics, if it comes to warehousing, if it comes to products, for example. And with each of these different levels comes a different certificate that needs to be updated every year. So every year, at least once, they get an audit, and maybe in between, they get an audit which is not announced. So somebody comes in from the authority, and when they, for example, are not compliant with what they need to be, then there is a potential that the certificate will be revoked. And what we also saw specifically in the food business was that the revoked items you can only find in the individual databases of the individual standards. So you need to go proactively to these databases and find out if your supplier is still certified according to that particular standard. And that's also something we want to use CertiKeeper for, is create more transparency in the whole supply chain, and not that the individual standards basically keep all that kind of information with them.
Yeah, thanks for this clarification. And what I've been discovering during the preparation for our webinar, that ESG is not only applicable to the European Union, although European Union basically a global leader for the ESG certification, which comes for environmental, social, and governance standards, right? But also there are plenty of countries who also fall under those conditions, and there's basically there are pros, there's advantages for compliance with ESG certification. The countries like Canada, USA, Australia, Japan, South Korea, Brazil, India, and many, many others, right? They're also fond of the certification, and I would easily imagine that you should receive like container which comes from Brazil to Netherlands, and in the mid of the way you can see that the certificate is obsolete, and basically you cannot just accept the cargo, which comes with a great risk. Am I right, Edwin?
Yeah, well, that's it. That's basically, and sometimes you also need to have historic data. Apples, for example, they could be stored for a year in a cooling cell, but in that particular year you can have the renewed certificate, but the certificate specifically for that apple batch is basically, you need to have that one as well. So it's not just the latest one, but also the historic perspective is important in these audits.
I see. That was great, right? So we've got some context, hopefully. In case if our audience will need some information on the industry-related case, feel free to ask more questions in the chat. And now we will go directly to the technical details, right? So you mentioned that previously you had a proof of concept solution that was based on .NET here. And somehow there were some limitations which came from this architecture. Is this right?
I will answer. Well, we started the product with a project, as Edwin has said. We found a client, we found a need, so we wanted to solve the problem. Well, for us, well, we were thinking project. This is why, well, we took we had resources, people who can, developers and .NET in our nearest circle. So they made this application for us and for the client. so the client liked it. Well, so we were happy. We got our money for the project. We got some contract for support. But then, good for us. Then the consultant of that company came and was wondering what kind of product they are using. When he was surprised, no, that's not a product, it's a project. And he also pointed out that there are more companies which can use such a solution. And almost like within a week, we've got a contact of another lead of a potential client. So of course, for us, it was, wow, it's a good opportunity. What shall we do? And we said, okay, maybe it's a product, maybe it's not a product, maybe it's just another project. Who knows? So both of us are pretty risk averse, you know, we started to think, okay, how we can deliver this to a new client, because the client was ready to buy. So we showed the previous version, and they said, yeah, okay, we need it. So, all right, give us some time. And then we were like, what we're gonna do? Turned out that .NET was not a multi-tenant application, of course, and it was by default like that. But we thought, okay, maybe what shall we do? Maybe we'll shall install another instance to another server and just do it like that. But we tried various options, but it turned out to be very expensive actually just to do that. And nobody wanted to do that as well. So that was also another thing. And time was, the clock was ticking. So we got in search for another solution. Well, I heard something before about Jmix, but then I was also asking chat about it, and so it was one of the options. And well, we finally went for it for Jmix, and it turned out to be a good was a right step. So we created the next MVP product, multi-tenant with roles and with all the things, you know, which Jmix offers, API connectors and stuff, within a month. And we were able, well, it took a bit more time than I promised to get it to the second client, but then we added it, we made another, it was not an extra instance, it was another completely other application based on the, let's say, UI was used as a prototype. The previous UI was used as a prototype for the new application. Of course, platform features were added by default, and we could deliver that. We also were able to import data quite easily, the new data, and also transfer the data from the previous client to the new product, to the new to the product. And this is how we got 2 clients on one product. And then, of course, we thought, okay, then we need a third and fourth and fifth one. So we started slowly. We started to collect feedback from these 2, and we have added many features to the previous version, to the first version. Yeah, it was pretty easy actually to add new tabs, new tables, new roles, and we even we are now adding API connection to one of the standards. So not many of them offer APIs, but look, we were thinking, you know, we were discussing that previous application was not even capable of connecting to API of another service. So now we have it from the box. It's quite good.
So what I heard, basically, you created the .NET proof of concept, and you realized that you are not okay with the development of it further, and you wanted to have a stable base. So even decided after understanding the value of JMix that you would switch to JMix and Java world, because like .NET and Java, it's like, you know, Marvel and DCs. These are just different universe, right? I cannot say anything bad about .NET. It's a powerful platform, right?
Well, for us, it didn't matter. At that moment, it didn't matter. For us, time was important. We actually, if we had such a platform of .NET, we don't have nothing against .NET in general. I mean, for us, we both are not developers. One is more technical, one is less technical. We have a team which does it. So they know how to build on JMix, but they also, with the same success, probably would build a .NET or any other. But the JMix was just more suitable for us. We had more functions and could make us, to our second client faster, and with actually little cost. Frankly, little cost. We paid for the first version, which is multi-tenant and stuff, with all the features, nearly the same money which we paid for the project. So, we didn't have any, capacity for further development. Well, only, of course, customizing further, but we couldn't make it a product out of it.
That is really interesting. You mentioned that you are not purely technical people, though you had to rely on JMix partner, as far as I understand, right, to deliver.
We rely a lot, actually. We rely a lot, but on the other hand, it's also a risk factor for any startup. We cannot build code ourselves, but at the same time, we see that in case we have some HR troubles, let's say, with the developer, we are not really that dependent as we are dependent when we are building a custom application. So you are dependent anyway. We are dependent from each other. We are dependent from many other things, for people. But
from our hands.
But
we have huge commitments.
These things we cannot do ourselves, so we need to rely on someone, and it's just a matter of it's a game of chances and, of course, risk assessment. So in this case, we feel that the risk is much less than we use just one guy who is building this code for the project, and we fully promise, give all our promises to the customer, at the same time not being completely sure in the person who is building it. So in this case, we have now we have a little team, small team, which working on it. But even if we had like one person who is holding all their information, still most of the information is in the platform. So I mean, even if he decides to stop being a programmer, or decides to, that we need to pay twice as much, so he's free to go. So we can find another one.
You can find confidence.
But I hope it doesn't happen. So I hope it doesn't happen. So, but we don't want to be dependent on that factor, because we can't promise then to our customer. So,
I see. One question from those persons who, let's say, on behalf of those persons who participate in this stream and asking, okay, guys, you got a nice idea. You've got a customer, right? You are both not very technical people. Why won't you go low code or no code to deliver this solution? And you can be quite sure about the vendor, about the ideas they put in their solution.
We talk to other companies, because we are, first of all, we are Axiomasoft, and secondly, we are consultants in IT and in the process automation, and we're not building, but we understand the processes. We know something about management of the processes, so we can write technical tasks and things like that. So we meet a lot of companies, and we see that there are many solutions built on platforms, and well, you don't need to reinvent the wheel. The difference is the pricing and also the ownership, like who really owns what you've built. And seems like, well, at least at this moment, it seems to us that everything we've built on Jmix belongs to us, and the code belongs to us, even if Jmix is not there anymore for some reason. It's bought out by a strategic investor, and I don't know, things happen. But even if that happens, we still own the code, and this code can be supported by Java developers without even having a platform. So this is independence. Now, from the pricing point of view, we don't need to pay. Well, the price which we pay to our partner includes, of course, some fraction of the license, which our partner pays for the license of Jmix. We don't pay directly because we don't own their license. They own the license, but, well, we pay for it, but not directly. But we don't pay for using the application.
Mm-hmm.
Everything which is delivered to us belongs to us. The only administrative costs we have are basically we pay for the virtual server and domains and administration things mainly, not business things. And if we make another instance and another instance to different clients, we open new clients, so our price administrative costs is not growing. But which may be the case with other platforms which also want some fraction of your business. So we don't share business. We pay for development, but we don't share the business. And I think this is important. And with low code, with ownership, there's also an issue. Well, I told that, yeah, well, I think it's like yeah, well, we were discussing that that it's kind of a metaphor of playing with Lego blocks, and but you have a lot of blocks. You can make something out of them. Even if you don't have a certain block you need, you can 3D print it, kind of customize it a little bit. So this is a low-code solution, so you can customize stuff. With other platforms, I'm, as a non-technical person, I have a feeling that everything you make on the platform actually belongs to the platform, and I can't take anything with us. So, and when we are a startup, so we also think that potentially we need to be able to sell the company, because, well, there will be a day where some investor comes and say, okay, I want to buy you. What are we selling? So what are our assets? And then answering this question, I think you can come to an idea that using only certain platforms are good for answering that question, let's say. I don't want to say anything bad about other platforms, but maybe I don't know them well. Maybe there are other things. I can't know everything, but we at least considered a couple of other, and we also know a couple of other.
Yeah, and of course, I mean, we were not completely blind when it comes to the technical side, because we, in the course of the years, we have established a network of people that are really tech savvy and that we trust. Yeah. So what Andre already said is that we are risk averse to a certain extent. So we basically thought it through very well, and did the pluses and the minus for the different items, and ultimately ended up with Jmix as the solution to go forward.
Absolutely. Thanks.
I just expect that there may be people in the audience who are way more technical. So I've been working, of course, in IT for like, I don't know, in general in technology like all my life, and also in IT companies, but mostly on commercial roles. So I know how it's made. So, but I'm not a developer.
So wrapping up, Edwin wants to protect his investments, and Andrei just want to have a flexible tool and a platform to make sure that he can switch basically those persons who are working within the team. Am I right?
In general,
Well,
yes.
it's the flexibility, definitely. Yeah.
For me, it's important. Look, I mean, we are a new company. We of course bear risk of. We have a lot of risks, and we want to minimize these risks. And we both believe that we need to play good in front of the customer. You know, we need our customer to trust in us, and we do everything to, to under-promise and over-deliver. Let's say, because it's the way of building good trust, and also these first customers are very close companies to us, so we know personally people who own the companies, and we want to create a really good product, and we can only do that when we know where we are standing. So when we promise that we can do that within a certain time, we really want to do that in this time or even faster. So, and we promising that is gives a big confidence. Like for example, like today in the morning, I had a call with a lead and they want two other modules. They want to have, how we call it, complaints and non-conformities also in the system. It's helpful for their audits. And she's asking, can you build that? And I say, yes, of course we can build that module for you, and I think we can even build it, well, within 2 weeks or so. But like keeping in mind that we can even build it within 1 week. Yeah, I just considering how fast we were building the product in general. So I understand the logic of the process. So I think, okay, that doesn't sound really complicated. So I assume that it will take us maybe a week, but not to be on the safe side, I say 2 weeks. But I'm absolutely sure that it will be made. And so I already made a card in our GitLab. So now the team will, evaluate that, and we can move on, because
the number of the tickets,
we want this lead,
Yeah, the number of the tickets decreases and the number of invoices increases. That's perfectly fits with the product strategy, as far as I understand. And yeah, I really like
the number of invoices that we send out, you mean?
Absolutely, those ones, only those ones, because we are talking on behalf of you, right? For sure. Okay, so that means that you have a great confidence that you are able to deliver in a certain time. You understand that there is a platform, there are people who can support you, right? And you are actually owning your solution, and you can come later go through the IPO, hopefully. Let's wish it to you. Okay, and you basically own your solution. Great.
Yeah, that's it. Also, I mean, just to mention that we are able to support the development from our pockets. It's not really expensive to create big features, which look big, but they, in fact, doesn't take much time to develop. So I think, and that also helps us as a startup not to give a share of a company for little money, and be also independent from that factor. So at least for quite some time.
Yeah, great. What do you find, what prospects do you build about your next steps with the solution, with Jmix? How CertiKeeper will evolve? As far as I understand, you are currently working on the possibilities to integrate with different ERP systems, right? And integrate into the solution. Because when I first heard about this solution, I was thinking, right, managing the certificates, right? I guess a lot of vendors do these things, like within their huge solutions, like Oracle, like Infor, right? This is sort of known aspect, but you are making it more flexible. As far as I understand, your power and the power of this product, that you are able to integrate into the current infrastructure of the client without paying tens and hundreds of thousands of euros for the Oracle licenses. Am I right?
Integrations seem quite easy at this moment. And we are now, we are, let's say, 40% progress made with the connection with a standard owner. And we made everything which on our side, which is on our side. Now they need to do something. So we can proof check that. And then, of course, there will be some fine tuning with automatic updates of the certificates. So some process, some reporting, something like that. But we're on the way, and it doesn't seem too expensive. I mean, it's a 1 week job maybe, do it in total from our side. Other developments which we are thinking are from the, well, Jmix has also a good possibility of creating web pages based on their administration interface. So we want to create for every supplier a web page where which they can use for free. And we are able to do that because for us, the costs, well, we're very efficient on costs. And we have competition, which are doing that, but it's we're also doing that. I think it costs them much more to do that.
Yeah, and I think I'm a strong believer that the mother of all tools doesn't exist. So with the biggest systems, etc., and of course they can do it, but people are basically fed up with then expensive consultants that need to custom make it, etc., and then it's not specifically working the way they want. So I believe that at this particular moment we have found a niche, and we want to become a very good player in that niche. And that means also that we need to integrate our solution in bigger environments. So that's where we need the APIs for. And that's also what people ask me, because and that's, I think, also an important aspect. We are coming from the side of process automation. I'm a process analyst. I love to make these flow charts, etc., and I want to understand how can people do it better, more efficient, and those kind of things. And I came across a lot of these bigger systems, that are not making it more efficient. As sometimes you have to adapt the process to the system and not the other way around. So that's why I think that working in a niche and making sure that you have these connections available is key to the success of this solution.
That sounds to me that you are able to organize some sort of social networks for the retailers who would be able to share information on the different, certificates, on the different suppliers. Maybe some sort of, just giving you the idea, maybe some sort of internal open rating for those suppliers. That would be also an idea for the CertiKeeper in the future.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Well, there are many different developments that we are looking at. I mean, can you imagine that a lot of these certificates are still being sent out as PDFs? I mean, if you look at that, then and you talk about avoiding fraud or whatever, I mean, there's also, maybe that's also something for the audience to help us in coming up with ideas on how to solve that type of issue or matter with regards to paper versions as I see it as PDFs.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, okay, so I'm glad to hear that you have a confidence, which I just put in the slide, right? No more guesswork, as you told me, just promises that we can keep. This is perfectly fits with the understanding of the value of JMix-based applications for me. Well, we are coming now to the Q&A section, and there are a couple of questions from our community in the chat, so I'm gonna tell about them. So Victor, hi Victor, asks, Tim, what was the most stressful moment during your product journey?
Trustful.
Stressful.
Stressful. Stressful journey.
Sorry for my pronunciation. Yeah, stressful, indeed.
Stressful. For me, I can say I know it. It was the moment when I understood that we cannot deliver to the second client, and that we have to, basically crash everything which we already have created and start, well, from scratch technically. That was a stressful moment. That was, yeah. That was the
I saw my bank account draining at that moment.
Absolutely.
And that was the most stressful. Now, of course, we are also in tension. Let's say it's not. I don't think it's a stress, but we're in tension. We are expecting, acceptance of the markets. We are investing into new features, and we are quite a new player in the market. And we are not from the industry as well. So, because many players are from the industry, from the food industry. So we are establishing our name, but we get good feedback. So we want this feedback to convert into clients, basically. We want we are building expectations, of course, for ourselves. So, and of course, with expectations, you get sort of tension and hopes. We need support from those who can.
Right.
Give us feedback, give us ideas.
The next question, or maybe not even a question, but the comment comes from our colleague, Tom Monier. Hi, Tom. And he says, in the past, I introduced JMix as a tech in a few companies. I got pretty good at giving demos where I can build an application from scratch in 30 minutes. Well, thanks, Tom, for those words. This perfectly fits with the idea that came from our community member, which we were talking to, and he said, hi, Andre, by the way, Andre Galik. He said those words. For me, it's easier to create some views and the data model in JMix rather than draw it in Figma to give an idea how the proof of concept solution would work like.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe this is exactly the case where you can showcase the value.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So, yeah, we got another comment from Felix Zender. Hi, Felix. The most impressive is to create an application based on already existing database. Exactly. Reverse engineering, that's it is. Like working with a .NET solution, like our colleagues told us just a couple of minutes ago, and create the new solution on the modern UI.
Yeah, actually, I can comment on that the first MVP was so easy to make, was so fast, was because developer already had something, to look at. They also had the previous application, and also I've made, it's not called wireframes, but still in Google, because this is all a lot of different tables and data on the screen. So I made it in Google Sheets, basically. So I made here is this, here is that, here's that, and so on the bottom we have this. And they had to combine, the developer had to combine both. And it was made pretty fast. And with further development, I can say, well, it was like, if we take as 100%, that it was like 75% of the speed. That was slower, yeah, when you have to ideas first, put them into the ticket, and then you have, well, questions. What do you mean here? And then you have maybe done something wrong. You know, we have to rebuild it. You know, because communication problem, well, exists. You know, so especially from non-technical to technical people.
Absolutely.
So.
Absolutely. Another question from our community member, Mladen Bukan. Can you tell more about how did you choose Jmix to build your product, and were there other candidate tools evaluated?
We had very little time, actually. Very little time. And as I told, like I know Jmix for quite some time before, like I heard about it. It was called Cuba back then. And I heard about it, so I told Edwin, like, Edwin, we need to do something. We need to do something. You know, I know that was, I think, was a good solution. Maybe we need to build that. We need to build that on Jmix. And then Edwin is a big fan of AI, so he was asking. We together were saying, okay, what? Because we needed also to agree within ourselves, because we already made one mistake. Basically, I made this mistake, so I was very conscious offering a new thing. So three of us, me, Edwin, and Chad, we were looking into solutions, and Jmix showed up. So I said, look, you see, because yeah, I also take responsibility for for the decisions, and I don't want I want to be fair.
Yeah, but based on that information, we consulted a couple of people in our network, also talking about what this product needs to do, etc., what our future perspective was. So it helped us making, call it a short list with possible solutions. And then, of course, but what Andre says also is that we were on the time gun. We are time constrained because yeah, we needed to deliver to this second client.
Absolutely.
Yeah, maybe there were some, I can't recall it right now. I think it was like low code solutions, Mendix.
Mendix is one of them. Yeah.
Yeah, and
Siemens,
then
yeah,
something on .NET as well was something. And give a
But
big longer list.
I guess you made the right choice, considering the fact that we are talking to each other now, right? That is great to hear. Okay, yeah. Thank you so much, colleagues. I don't have currently any more questions in the chat section. The last call for community to ask some. There are links and the QR codes. They would be leading to Jmix website as well as certikeeper.nl website. So our community members could check the solutions, and for those who just came to understand what it's all about, you can trial Jmix, proceed with our free Udemy course, get some use cases studies. I thank you for your experience, for sharing your experience. And one final question. What advice would you give to the new startups who are trying to launch their product?
You
want to start?
Yeah, first thing I can, I can say, okay, it depends, but I mean, in general, it's look at the value for money probably, and the independence and costs, and all the things I mentioned before. And I will not say use Jmix. So maybe you don't need to use Jmix. You know, it depends on the situation. And Jmix just fits us very well, you know. And yeah, and I think it's important to stay cost efficient, because we look at competitors, and if competitors they brag about, oh, we have a team of like 10, we have a team of 15 developers. Okay, good luck with that. It's fine. But you know, how are you gonna feed them? Because if you create the same amount of code with less resources, I mean, I'm pro-human, but I mean, we can't earn money as well. So
yeah, and I think, and maybe this is
costs are
a
important.
comment clearly from a non-tech savvy guy, but always keep in mind the customer requirements. Because sometimes also with the development team, when they go into detail with the technology, and then they are losing track of what we actually need to deliver. So maybe it's a dual advice. If you have a team, always use a multidisciplinary team and make sure that these customer requirements, because otherwise you're not selling it. It may be the most awesome tool that you have made, but yeah, nobody will buy it because it's too big, it's maybe too expensive at that particular moment. Because that's also, we always keep a good eye on because what Andre said, we do have competitors, but the comments that are coming back from people that have looked into these competitors and see if this is a solution that they want, cost is one of them. So yeah, if you can have a cost-efficient item, a solution which is clearly doing the job what they expect, what the client expects, then you're doing a good job, and not trying to create this again mother of all tools, which won't happen anyway.
Yeah, it helps to overcome the barrier to entry. So when we have enough turnover to, you know, to hire even a bigger team, then it's fine. But in a startup phase, well, we can create really small products without a platform, and we can create really big products with the platform and play the same game as the other companies which are already long-term in the market. So actually, for the user, it's not obvious how many people have built the product. It's really, they cannot tell, because it looks like a good application, like a reasonably large application with a lot of functions. So, and it is. So, and it was built with a reasonable cost. So we are happy about that. And for the startup, it's a good solution. Let's see how it develops later. But for now,
yeah,
let's meet each other in a year. So let's see.
Let's see. Thank you so much. It was insightful, basically. So I encourage all the startups to choose wisely how they proceed with their product, right? And do not be locked in the vendor lock-in trap. So you would be able to scale your solution, how we do it with Jmix, of course. And thank you very much for hosting this webinar with us. Welcome to Jmix YouTube channel. So our dear audience, please subscribe and give us a star on GitHub, and give a like to this video. Thank you so much, Edwin, Andre, for taking your time and sharing your experience. Looking forward to meet you again.
We'll be back.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.